After President Biden gave his first press conference of the year with his political future potentially at stake, there does not seem to be a firm consensus of exactly where things stand nearly 24 hours later.
Yeah, right out the gate, he made a gaffe calling Vice President Harris Vice President Trump. Here's that moment.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
Fox 5's political reporter Morgan McKay joins us now. So Morgan, I mean, we've got back-to-back mix-ups by Biden, the names, you know, he calling Zelensky Putin, and then we just saw that moment with Harris and Trump. I mean, he corrects himself, at least with the Zelensky moment, but does that even matter at this point?
Look, this was the last thing President Joe Biden wanted after the last gaffe. But at the same time, talking to Democrats and experts, this wasn't what their decision hinged on. Now, for younger voters who weren't necessarily watching the press conference, this clip is going to live online for a long time. It's what they're probably going to see from the press conference on TikTok, on Instagram, and so forth. But this wasn't the major turning point in the press conference. Yeah. And still, you saw House Democrats come out and say that they wanted Biden to step aside. And Biden's campaign was ready for that. However, some Democrats say that Biden was able to navigate some pretty tough questions on foreign and domestic policy, which we saw. However, other Democrats are saying, we're just waiting for the next debate, the next mess up. And we can't have that in this country right now or in this race, especially it being such an important consequential
Right, the Vice President Trump thing, in hindsight, after seeing the whole thing, seemed like less of a big deal probably than when it happened right off the top, and you didn't know, like, where are we going from here? That said, he did seem to get good grades later in the press conference, really sort of tackling these tough issues. That said, not everybody is still on board. We're still seeing some defections as we head through into the weekend.
Exactly. You saw 3 House Democrats come out right after the press conference, and it seemed like they were pretty prepared as it was. It didn't really matter where that press conference was going to go. They came out and said they wanted Biden to step aside. We also are seeing this morning at least some major Democratic donors saying that they are going to pause about $90 million in donations to Biden's, one of his largest super PACs, while this is all going on. So this is already starting to have a trickle-down effect. Now, Biden in his press conference was asked if he would step aside if Vice President Kamala Harris was polling better, if it showed that she was going to be able to beat Trump better than he would. And we have that sound right here.
Do you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that.
And look, right now in the polling, it does show that he's, you know, ahead by 1 point or 2 points in certain areas, and he's behind in 1 point by 2 points in other areas. So, you know, he's within that margin of error. But, you know, we're still 4 months away from the election. So a lot of people are saying, is that enough right now?
Yeah, and all eyes on House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who's been non-committal publicly, but he has come out with a new letter today. What did that say?
Yes, so House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, he met with President Joe Biden last night, and he reportedly was very blunt with how his members of his caucus are feeling right now. And apparently, reportedly, he didn't tell him that he has the backing, or he's backing President Joe Biden. He didn't say he's endorsing him right now. Now, publicly, at least yesterday in his press conference, he said that he is right now speaking to every House member in his caucus. He's speaking to each one individually. After he does that, he's going to meet with leadership and discuss a path forward. So right now, he's being very careful in what he says, and I think he's a person to watch right now.
I mean, talk about getting thrown into the deep end. Hakeem Jeffries, new to this job, dealing with this.
Right.
Pretty wild. It's a lot, for sure. All right, and yeah, it was notable for what he didn't say, which was not coming out and endorsing him. Morgan, we appreciate it. Thank you.